Hey sports fan, it's the review of week number 2 of the JFFL Fantasy Football League, and the action was fast and furious as all but 2 teams were going over the century mark. There was more points here than the Porcupines, so let's start off with our double game of the week as the Veras were taking on the Garcias, and this rivalry goes way back to the first year the Veras joined this shindig. First off, it was a classic Gator taking on the Korean, as these two have always wanted to one-up each other, and the feeling one gets by losing to another is felt in the bottom of the stomach, taking a few days to get over. After it was all said and done, it was the Gator snapping the Korean in half and spitting out the leftovers as he took the Korean down by the score of 165 to 118. The Korean had his slack eyes shut as the Gator was savoring the victory by saying, "Once you go Asian, you can't go Caucasian." The Gator was led by his receivers Angwan Bolden with his 49, and Jennings with 27, and his QB Kitna pitched in with another 28. This was too much for the Korean as he felt as bad as Korea did when they divided them on the 38th parallel. You remember that. The Korean was led by T. Ho with his 29 and McNabb with 22. Both of them are now 1-1 for the season. The other Vera versus Garcia game featured the Bull against Axe, and it was the Veras bringing out the brooms as they swept the Garcias under the rug as Axe took them down by the score of 117 to 93. The Bull had his horns taken out, now they adorn an 80s classic Cadillac with a boss hog looking Texas driving it. Axe actually cut the ears as roses were thrown his way as he had the famous Salida de Hombres. His team was led by his receivers Calvin Johnson, who had 44, and Chris Chambers adding another 33. The Bull was led by his defense. His what? Yeah, his defense, as the Giants D had 31 and Deshaun Jackson had 22. But of course, he could have had some more. But the result would have been the same, as Axe now joins 2 others at 2-0 and Raul drops to 500 at 1-1. We go from this action to the lowest scoring game of the week as 2 teams barely went over 100 as the Law took down the Sewer Chewer by the score of 108 to 101. The Law pulled over the Badonka Chomp, and after seeing him with some scantily clad women, he decided to probe a little more and notice some open containers and a midget with a camera, so he put a stop to that fun. The Law was led by I Ate Too Much and My Pants Don't Fit, Gerald with 26, and Peyton added another 25, and the Dallas D chipping in with 22. Mr. Scratch and Sniff was led by his kicker, Longwell having 23 and Witten also having 23. Chris Johnson added 18 and Breeze added 15. Both teams now end up even for the season at 1-1. Let's get the scoring up, and that's just what this next game did, as the highest scoring game of the week featured the Raider versus the Mercenary. This was a battle that didn't even last too long, as last week the Mercenary lost by 95 points, and this week he repeats by losing 195 to 100. 2 back-to-back 95-point losses? That's gotta be some sort of record. The Mercenary is now looking for any kind of ammo, and the Raider, he did just that, raided the Mercenary. The Raiders team was led by the deadly duo of Cutler to Marshall, as the Cut had 49 and Marshall had 45, with Ernest Graham pitching in with another 30. The Mercenary was led by Santana Moss with 42 and the Bears D adding 19. 195 is now the new high for the season, and the Raider goes 1-1 and on the rise. On the other hand, the Mercenary joins 2 others at 0-2. Speaking of 0-2, the darkness fell to UPS as he's showing the light on the dark one. Which reminds me, what is the speed of dark? And if you're driving a car at the speed of light, what happens when you turn on the lights? UPS delivered a 149 to 84 point win by using Eli's 40 and 27 from both Gonzalez and Bush. Oh yeah, we all like Bush. The darkness was led by Torrey Holt's 25 and Bowles with 18. UPS goes undefeated for the season, and the darkness is still winless. In other action, we go to the closest game of the week, as Big B was taking on the Professor, and the Professor was taking some remedial classes as his once mighty team has disappeared as he lost by the score 145 to 141. Big B felt like the Dean of Mean as he dismantled the Professor and celebrated by downing a couple of cold ones. He was led by his running backs as Westbrook had 33 and Julius Jones had 30, with the Seahawks defense adding another 27. The Professor had Romo with 45, the Packers D with 40. Big D remains undefeated, and the Professor remains winless for the season. Our final game of the week featured the Postman taking on Q-Ball, and it was the Postman picking up, stuffing, packing, and shipping Mr. King to the losing column as he stamped a 137 to 126 point win. The Postman didn't let the following joke get to him. 3 women were sitting around throwing back a few drinks and talking about their love life. One woman said, "I call my husband the dentist. Nobody can drill like he does." The second woman giggled and confessed, "I call my husband the miner because of his incredible shaft." The third woman quietly zipped her whiskey until her friend asked, "Say, what do you call your husband?" She frowned and said, "The postman." "Why the postman?" "Because he always delivers late and half the time it's in the wrong box." The postman was led by his running backs as McFadden had 31 and Barber had 30, with Plax adding 22. The bald one was led by, who else? Adrian Peterson with 27, Reggie Wayne with 23, and Gore with 20. Both teams now are even at 1-1. Our game of the week for week number 3 will feature 2 undefeated teams as Big B will take on UPS. Until then, this is the Jedi Axel Editor.